Okay guys, so welcome to the meeting for today. I appreciate you guys being here. It'll be about a 45-minute meeting. And then after that, hey, come on in. And so, yes, I provided everybody a red folder. And in that red folder, you have an agenda of today's meeting, along with the first page covers all of our grade level representatives. So in case you don't know who they are, or in case you need to contact them, or you need to get a hold of somebody or send somebody an email for clarification, Ms. Ordaz is going to be representing pre-K. For kinder, we have Ms. Bennett. First grade, we have Ms. Sanchez. Second grade, we have Ms. Williams. Third, Ms. Mabuse. Fourth grade is myself. Fifth grade, Ms. Ruby Vera. And then Ms. Grimaldo will be our administrator, who's going to be in charge of the committee as well. So she'll be overseeing it. I know that in the past, the attendance committee has been very informal.
Yes.
We would meet sometimes, not meet other times. There was a lot of inconsistencies with the attendance committee as far as incentives, as far as when things were scheduled, when they were not scheduled. So hopefully this year everything will be a lot more structured. And I think I'm going to go into the reasons why. So I went ahead and put together a purpose and goals. The school is mandated to have an attendance committee. We are mandated to have representatives on that committee. And so with that said, our first goal is to establish positive expectations for good attendance with students and their families. So again, that communication with our parents, with their guardians. Going to the second bullet, help communicate the importance of attendance goals to the entire staff, and that's where you guys come in. Right? So setting those attendance goals, those incentives, and then following through with them. The last one is to examine trend information and unusual attendance trends every 9 weeks. So this is new to the attendance committee. I'm going to show you guys a set of reports. We're going to go through those reports. We're going to dissect them. We're just going to kind of look through the trends. When are the kids being absent? Is it always a Monday? Is it a Friday? Is it before a holiday? What can we do to improve the attendance on those days? Is there an incentive that we can come up with? Is there something that we need to order, maybe a free popsicle or an extra recess, whatever the case might be? This is a time to talk about that. Another thing that was brought up by Ms. Grimaldo as far as the attendance committee goes is that she wants us to monitor our communication logs. So as you know, every teacher is accountable for communicating with parents. Now that goes hand in hand with attendance. Now one of the misconceptions that a lot of teachers have is that we don't have enough funding. Well, we don't get funding for this, we don't get funding for that. Well, this is tied directly into our daily average attendance. Now, if at the end of the year our daily average attendance, let's say, is below 96%, the state is not going to give us more money than what they need to, right? They're going to kind of tap it off. So a lot of people say, well, our school never has money. Well, if you look at last year's report and if you look at the data, our attendance was horrible. So that goes hand in hand with the funding. So if we stay on the attendance and we stay on the unexcused absences, the tardies and all of that, hopefully next year we'll see a turnaround in that funding. So that's where this comes in, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. All right. So the next thing we're going to do on your agenda, you have a set of reports. This is just a snip of the report. I did not provide this report. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you an email that I get from Ms. Grimaldo. And this is what she gets on a daily basis, I believe, from Mr. Buenrostro, who is the district coordinator for the attendance. And what they do, and I know it's a lot of numbers, what they do, they take pre-K and even the 3-year-olds who are enrolled with the school, who aren't necessarily in a classroom, but who do come for speech. They are also part of our attendance, pre-K, kinder, all the way through 5th. And so as we go down, you see the different schools. You have LFE, Villarreal, Las Yescas, Lopez Regens, so forth and so on. And if you look down at the bottom of the report, there we are. And so the way this was described to me, if you see first, this was a 2-week report from August the 28th through September the 1st. The average attendance was 73.8%. Second grade, 73.8%. Kinder, 73.3%. And then pre-K, I think there was a discrepancy, or I think there's a different way to read this. Third, 81. Fourth, 92. And so then we have fifth grade, 82.2%. And as we look at that, obviously, there's a trend here. Our lower grades are the ones that have the lower score, the lower attendance rates. They're in the 70s, while third, fourth, and fifth are in the 80s and 90s. Right? And so, of course, it goes on to describe the middle schools and high schools. And if I go all the way to the end of the report, we were at 96.6%. I think that's us. Yeah. That's us at 96.6%. Now, we aren't necessarily at the bottom. Well, actually, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we were. For this one, we are.
No.
And so,
Yeah.
I think it's this one.
That one's ours.
I want to say this one's ours. Yeah, DRE, I'm sorry. So, because I did go over this one with Ms. Grimaldo, we weren't necessarily at the bottom for these 2 weeks, but we weren't necessarily at the top either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think our attendance has been so much better as compared to last year. And of course, this is the first 2 weeks of school. We had enrollment, we had new students, we had students that were leaving the district, new kids that were being enrolled. So of course, that's there. The next report is going to be, let's see. This is what this one looks like. So it's the daily average attendance. And again, like I said, this is the district-wide one. This is where she gets our percentage compared to the other schools. And so it's very important that the daily average attendance, that percentage is always above 98%. And this is the one that goes back to our funding. Okay? Looking at the next report, this I did provide. You do have this in your red folder. You have the unexcused absences. The report that you have in your folder was provided this morning. And so it is the most current report. Or I think it's the one that Ms. Grimaldo sent yesterday.
Yeah.
And the way you can distinguish from the two, one of them says list of district groups. You'll see unexcused. And then the other report says tardies. Okay, so you have two. You have one that should say unexcused and one that says tardies. And then, so like I said, going back to the monitoring, I know that Ms. Grimaldo did mention that we are going to have to print out these reports either on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Either you can print out your own report, or Maria can print out a school report, just like the one that I have here. And they're going to be monitoring and checking our communication logs to make sure that we do contact those parents.
Yeah.
So make sure to tell your grade level and to let them know to be, contacting those parents for the unexcused absences, for the tardies. If you look at the tardy report, you can see right away that there's somebody in first grade, Perales, with 10 tardies. There's one in second grade, Lisandro Perez, 15 tardies. And so I guess what they're going to be checking is that those students who have a large amount of tardies, to making sure, did we call, have we monitored that parents know that they have to be here before 7:50. We have another one in third grade with 12 tardies. We have two in fourth grade with 10 tardies. One of them is actually my student.
And in fifth grade, we have Leo Machuca.
Yeah. In fifth grade, we have two kids. Each one of them, I assume that they're brothers.
They are. They're brothers.
They're brothers, and each one of them has 12 tardies.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I don't know, as you were coming down the hallway, I went ahead and I put my posters up for,
yes.
yes, I put them up.
My
And
almost done.
my students, as they were walking down, one of them said, I've never been absent. And I said, no, you have not been absent, but you've been tardy more than 3 times. And so that's when he said, so I can't go to the, the extra recess. I said, no, you can't.
But it is gonna count.
That
right?
was
That's for sure.
that was my grade levels question. If there are
Yeah.
tardies,
We need
I
to because I know in the past sometimes we say, oh yeah, tardies
No.
are gonna come, and they don't, and the kids end up going, so they might feel like, oh, I'm still gonna go. you
No,
know?
if a
Yeah.
student exceeds the 3 tardies,
Awesome.
they will not be allowed
Yeah.
to go to the 9 weeks attendance incentive. However, say for example, the student has perfect attendance all year, and we have that end of the year carnival, or we have that splash day, they will be allowed to go to that because they did have perfect attendance all year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They just won't.
they'll get the trophy.
They will get their trophy, they'll get their award, they'll get the end of the year incentive, but they will not get the 9-week incentive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm. So that's another thing that's going to be monitored, the tardies, the unexcused absences. And so right before that incentive, we're gonna have to go back and check the students who have more than 3 tardies to make sure that we're sticking to that consistency,
Yes.
that if we say the student is not allowed to go, well then that student is not allowed to go. That's not to say that next 9 weeks they don't have any tardies, then they will be able to go.
Right.
Okay? Any questions on the reports?
No.
On truancy court, when will they be following up on that? Because it's kind of like call, but after so many absences, there should be like a step ahead. Like, what is the next step, and are you gonna follow
And you know
through
what?
with that?
And I completely agree
Because
with
I
you.
know that other campuses do. Like the administrators are all over. Let's go to truancy court. We're gonna send them. They're
Right.
all over it, and I think that makes a big difference. As a parent, I don't want to go to court. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's the law. You gotta send your kids to school. Like that's the law.
And I completely agree with you because I think that as teachers, if we're going to be held accountable for calling these parents on a 9-week basis with these communication logs, how are the parents going to be held accountable? And I agree. As far as the
Oh,
truancy,
they do.
They-
Irene did it last year, and she was.
Well, yeah,
voted
but they
out.
did it after that's what I want to know. What is the limit? Like when
What's
do
the
you
cutoff
go? What's the cutoff? Because I mean, if you're gonna wait till they have 50 absences in the year, that's kind of
Right.
already hit us hard with 50 absences. But if you
Yeah.
do it at like 10, I think that's enough. Like when you reach your 80%, or what is the percentage they need to be here? What is it? 80? What is it? What's the percentage per kid on as per our code of conduct?
it's 80.
Okay,
80.
so once you reach that, 10, 15 days, that's already your 80%. Like, once
Right.
you reach that, you should already be at truancy court.
And I completely agree with you. And I know that that's something that Ms. Grimaldo needs to address because that's on her end
Yeah.
of what she wants to do as the administrator or the principal per se. How is it that she wants to go about that? But definitely, I agree with you.
Because then we can tell them,
110%.
like, hey, you know what? You're 3 absences away from, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, we could go there because it's the truth.
And I think where I was going with that, with my train of thought, was that at the very beginning of the year, I attended a meeting with Mr. Buenrostro, and he's the district coordinator for the attendance. And what he was saying is that a lot of the times we focus on these students who are constantly absent, the student that's absent 3 times a week, the student that's absent every other week. And he goes, and that's not the student that's hurting you. The student that's hurting you are the ones that are absent on Monday because they're sleepy, the ones that are absent on Friday because it's Friday, and they have that pattern of Monday, Friday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, those little patterns, and they're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, if you take a look at their report card, they're the ones that end up with 15, 16, 17 tardies. And we don't notice it as much as the one student that's out for 2 weeks straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're so focused on the one that's all the time, but he goes, the ones that are hurting you are the ones that are sporadic. So that's a question I'll go ahead and ask Ms. Grimaldo, and I'll see what she tells me. And so any questions on the report, guys? No? And I know I talked to Maria this morning, and she did tell me, as you know, you can run these on your own through TAC, so you can run your own attendance, and it tells you who's unexcused, who's tardy, and whether you want to do that on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, just go ahead and communicate with your team that they are going to be monitoring your communication logs. So that's something just to bring up. And of course, this is the way that report looks. Maria ran this one for me this morning, and it's by teacher. And so this is the way it looks.
Is that the Texas audit? What is the Texas audit?
It's the
report?
Texas audit.
You
So
just
then,
put, like, you can go and put from the very first
Yeah,
date
the
to
range.
now,
Mhm.
per student, and it gives you that, and you can print it.
Mhm.
Pretty easy for me.
it's really easy. And then it has a little key at the bottom to tell you who's absent, the days that they've been absent. Another thing I was telling Maria about those notices that go home with the unexcused that the parents pretty much just fill in and sign. Would it be better that we put them in the lounge? Or would you guys like to have copies of them in your classroom?
Yeah.
I mean, that way, if you need one, you just grab it and fill it out rather than go to the office, or you forget, or you leave a post-it, and by the time you know it, a
Yeah.
week has gone by and you
Exactly.
totally forgot to ask for the excuse.
I think we have the copies available in our classroom. Let's say we start at 25 each, maybe
Mhm.
like on that morning, whoever's not here, maybe you fill it out the next day they come here, you go put it in their folder. Like that way you know
Right.
it's like a routine
Yeah.
instead of just like, oh, I need to go to the office and get it. I think we have so many things to do,
Yes.
you forget.
And I think that's a great idea. So if you want, I'll go ahead and get you guys the copies, and then you guys communicate to your grade level why they're getting those copies.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. And so those are the reports that we went over. The last report, you also have a copy of this in your red folder. This is the one that Maria generates. And this one is the average, the daily count report, and she generates one of these reports on a daily basis. And so this is an older one from last week. You have yesterday's inside of your folder. Pre-K had 94%, kinder 93, first grade 98, second grade 97, third grade 97, fourth grade 96, fifth grade 92, Miss Amador and Miss Cisneros 95. And so at the very bottom you'll see our school attendance at 95.5. And then it's broken down by teachers as well. And it's broken down by the enrollment, the students absent, and how many were present. And I think this is just to bring awareness of, on the administrative end, how important attendance is. I mean, the reports that I'm showing you, Ms. Grimaldo, Maria, the entire front office, these are generated on a daily basis. You know, and it's just constantly being monitored and constantly being spoken about. And so, so if you ever want these, she sends them out only to the administrators, and so she was nice enough to send it out to me. And I like this one just because it has a breakdown of everything, and it's just very friendly compared to the other one that has the district. Okay, so this is the time that will probably take up the bulk of the time, or actually not much if we don't disagree with anything. On that first attendance, on your first paper, I think it's the first or second, where you have your committee members, you have a copy of our incentives. And so now we have to actually plan, when are we going to have these incentives? When are we going to have these incentives? What is the best time after the 9 weeks? I also went ahead and included an academic calendar for you, and so we can plan from there and just go ahead and
We normally did it a week after.
I
So
think
that way,
sounds good.
if we had to finish whatever it is that we needed to do, by then it was
okay.
a good time.
But like, for example, where are they gonna take place? Like the 15 minutes to bring your own device and the movie popcorn pickles, is this like at the library, or where do they go?
Well, that's up to us. As the
Oh.
attendance committee, we can
Okay.
go ahead and tell Ms. Grimaldo, you know, we can separate the lower grades from the upper grades. At what time is better for some? I know that the lower grades have lunch really early.
Yeah.
Is it a good time to take them out in the morning? Would you guys prefer that? Do you prefer to take them out in the afternoon? Are your pairs available? Are they not available? That's all scheduling that needs to be taken into consideration. So, like I said, it's an open forum for you guys to let me know what works best. A honor roll and perfect attendance for the first 9 weeks. 15 minutes of BYOD, and then the perfect attendance is an extra 15 minutes of recess with an iced popsicle. And so the end, if we look at our academic calendar, the end of the marking period is October 13th. And so we could go ahead and schedule that the following week. But I know that if you see the 20th, that's the report card day. And so I know she mentioned that, I don't know if that's a very chaotic week to wait till the following week. So the 23rd through the 27th. Do you prefer to do it at the beginning of the week, or do you prefer to do it at the end of the week?
No, I'm gonna tell you something else.
Go ahead.
No. Because she doesn't want us to have meetings before packing. Because that last year, she said after packing.
Maybe it's changing.
I know I met with her this morning, and she did tell me to go ahead and do the week of the 23rd through the 27th. That way we have report cards and we're able to verify.
What
Like
is
to make
the-
sure.
Like, is Monday a day when, like, kids miss? Because we can have it, like, on a Monday, and they'll come
Yeah.
for the incentive on a Monday. Like,
That's
kind of
true.
use it as a double.
Use it as a double thing.
We can do it on the
Or is
23rd.
it Fridays that they miss more? and
That's
make it on
right.
Friday? I don't know. Like,
That's
I
a good
think
idea.
Mondays are hard for, or I think for me, like, I had
That's
3
a
out on
good-
Friday. on
Okay,
Monday.
so do y'all want, and especially since that's a half day, do you guys want to go ahead and schedule the incentive on October 23rd?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
For the
For
A
which
honor roll or for the perfect?
It
No,
doesn't
It
matter.
can't be both because.
It can't be
They
both
don't
on the
have
same
enough
day because of the
paras.
scheduling. We don't have enough
Yeah.
manpower.
Yeah.
So we can do the 23rd. Let's do A honor roll. Oh no, let's do perfect attendance first.
Okay,
So
October 23rd.
October 23rd.
And then, like she said, let's do Mondays and Fridays.
So then the 27th
Yeah.
for A honor roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That way that you know they're gonna be here.
So that's the first 9 weeks. The second 9 weeks is going to end
December 20th.
December 20th. And of course, that's pretty
Yeah.
much,
Yeah, we have to wait until late January.
we have to wait till January.
Yeah.
The kids come back.
The 8th.
The report cards go out on the 10th.
Oh, gosh.
So then would we want to do it that 12th? The 12th?
12th.
Okay,
And the 15th.
Yeah.
Okay, 12th and 15th. So the 12th, let's do perfect attendance. And then the 15th, A honor roll. Third 9 weeks,
I'm getting all antsy. Like you're saying 9 weeks, I'm like, the time's flying by.
it really is. It really is.
And that's spring break again.
Spring break, okay, the 9th. And then the report card goes on the 21st. So let's do the 23rd.
23rd and
Okay,
26th.
26.
Ew. Yeah. Okay, so
So
March,
23rd is what?
perfect attendance.
Perfect, okay.
We're doing perfect attendance first.
Yep.
And then A honor roll would be March 26th.
Okay.
But on the second 9 weeks, we did it the other way, right?
No.
Perfect attendance on the 23rd and A honor roll on the 27th.
The 12th and the 15th.
The 12th and the 15th,
23rd
yeah.
and the 26th.
Fourth 9 weeks.
Okay.
But isn't the 12th before the 15th? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, first it's perfect attendance and then we're gonna do A honor roll.
Okay. Oh, I see, 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So fourth 9 weeks is going to end.
May
Well, we
20.
usually
Fourth.
end it.
Well, isn't there a cutoff point because
Yes,
of
because
awards?
we end up, yeah. So I think it's the,
18th, it's probably the week before. 18th.
18th and 21st. Now the only thing with that is that there's awards.
Yeah.
There's field days.
There's
there's